Hey, you guys, it's me, Walida Cherie, and today I wanted to come to you and talk to you about life insurance. So, for those of you that don't know, September is Life Insurance Awareness Month, and I am super excited for a few reasons. Number one, I am a licensed life insurance agent here in Texas. And number two, I am a recipient of a life insurance policy. So today what I want to do is I want to talk to you about my personal experience I've had as being a recipient of life insurance and why it's so important that you really consider getting some for yourself and for those that you love. So without further ado, I want to share my story with you. So back in, I believe it was 2006. So I started college back in 2006. So the Christmas in between my first semester and my second semester, I went home to visit my parents. And I had an uncle who lived in that area. He was my great uncle, actually. He was my dad's uncle. And I remember like it was yesterday, we were driving to, I believe, Kohl's. And my family had one of those big vans. For those of you all who are millennials, who are on the later end of the millennial spectrum, you probably remember those vans that people used to have with the TVs and the reclining chairs, and some people even had refrigerators. Well, ours did not have a refrigerator, but we did have the big van with the TVs and the reclining chairs. So to get to the point, we were driving that van to Kohl's because my uncle wanted to take us on a shopping spree. And my great uncle was so awesome. Like, he was more like a second father to me, more than anything, because he was always taking us out for our birthdays. He took me on my first airplane ever to California for my birthday. And he was just always showing up because my dad always worked a lot. And so whenever my dad wasn't able to make events, he would be there. So that just gives you a little bit of insight of how my uncle was. So I just remember us going to the store and we did our whole little shopping spree. And then we went to another store as well. As we were leaving out, my uncle and I was sitting in the van with him because my mom was with us. And for those who don't know my mom, she is definitely, I would classify as a shopaholic, and she was taking a bit of time. So I was not wanting to be in the store just waiting. So my uncle and we went and sat in the van, and it was winter, so we had the van running. And I just remember this very strange conversation my uncle had with me. He asked, do I want to travel the world with him, or do I want a lump sum of money? I'm like super like, what the heck is he talking about? I'm like, I want to travel the world. Like, hands down, money to me is not that important as much as traveling is. So of course I want to travel with you. What kind of question is that? And I don't remember the sequence of events, but I do remember slightly after that conversation, my dad and we went to an office because my uncle worked for the steel mill in Indiana, Northwest Indiana, and he was telling me that he was getting his life insurance policy changed. Now, I'm still young. Okay, I should have been old enough to know enough about life insurance, but no one ever talked about it, so I was very ignorant as to what any of this even meant. And I went with him. He was changing his life insurance policy, and that's all I really knew. So then later on, fast forward, he was telling me that he had changed the life insurance policy where I was the primary beneficiary, meaning I received the bulk of the money, and then from there, I basically have to allocate the money to remainder beneficiaries. And he had adopted 2 daughters, but he just wanted to make sure that I gave the amount, that he designated, because he felt like more than anybody else, number one, I had proven that I was pretty good with money even at a very young age. I guess he watched the way I would monitor the birthday money he would give me and the hustling jobs I had selling candy to my friends. So he put me responsible at the age of 18. If anything were to happen to him, I would get the money to distribute. Fast forward, I did not really take that serious because I'm like, okay, he's gonna be here for a while, so this would be like later on in life kind of thing. Well, what happened was that it was now the second semester and it was finals week. And the day after finals, I packed up my dorm room because I went to Purdue University, and unfortunately, if you're not doing summer school, you pack up the second semester to leave for the summer. And so the very next day, my uncle was in the hospital. And just so you guys know, he was sick up until this point, but I didn't realize how sick he was. And so the next day after my finals, my parents said that we needed to go to the hospital to visit him. And so we went to the hospital, and I will never forget this. We talked to my uncle, and it was a very short but good conversation. And I don't know why, my parents heard somebody in the hallway that they knew, and I just remember us saying goodbye to my uncle, and they walked in the hallway to go talk to whoever it was they were talking to. But something kept telling me to go back and talk to my uncle. And I was just like, well, I'll just come back tomorrow. And something just kept telling me, like, you really should just go back and you should really go talk to your uncle, because no one told me how sick he was. Like, I knew he was sick, but people go to the hospital all the time and they leave, usually. I was like, okay, I'll just talk to him tomorrow. So we go home, and to make matters worse, I was already struggling with the first boyfriend I ever had in college. Like, I was on the edge of, should I break up with him or should we stay with each other? That day, I actually broke up with him through text message, and I do not recommend that to anybody who's listening. And so the next day, it was very early in the morning. It was maybe like 6 a.m. And I believe I woke up early because, you know, it's college, it was finals week. I'm just used to now waking up early and going to sleep late. Like, my time is just way off. And I get this call from my dad. I'm like, okay, where are you guys at? Like, why are you all not at home? And he's like, we're at the hospital. Your uncle just died. And I'm just like, what? And he's like, your uncle just died. And I felt like everything, like time literally stopped. The room was spinning, and I just sat on the bathroom floor, and I didn't know what reaction to have. And then I just tried to like call as many people as I knew. Nobody picks up. I just remember the only person that I did used to talk to about a lot of stuff was my ex-boyfriend. So I like pick up the phone, and he answered the phone, and I just started weeping. Like, I'm like bawling my eyes out, and I couldn't even talk. I just was crying, and he just listened. He wasn't trying to give advice or anything. He was just listening, waiting for me to, you know, say what happened. I talked about what happened with my great uncle, and I wasn't sure about the future because I believe it was a month prior to that when I found out about the life insurance policy. I remember talking to my advisor about it, and I was like, I don't know why he gave me this. Like, he has daughters. I just feel like if something happens to him, it'd be huge conflict because they won't understand that he put me as a primary beneficiary, and I'm a great niece, not even just his niece. And so I'm thinking about all these conversations, and so now I'm talking to my ex-boyfriend about this, and I'm just really hurt that this has happened. So fast forward, I believe it was about a week. I am now in the process of getting his funeral set up. I was put as the primary beneficiary, which meant I, at 18 years old, had to prepare for my first funeral. Like, I'm actually in charge of getting everything together. So with my parents, I was able to do that, but it was a lot of stress. But just know that I definitely can tell you it's a very stressful time when somebody dies, but it's even more stressful when the family falls apart because people want more than what they were left with. If it wasn't for the life insurance policy, yes, I did have a scholarship, but it only covered tuition. My parents did pay for my room and board, but when it came to like after college, that money really saved me. And it was just good that I didn't have kids or I didn't have like debt. I didn't have a lot of responsibility at the time. But I can tell you, like, a life insurance policy is definitely something I think everyone should have because you really don't know. Like me, like I said, I'm thinking this would be a long-term thing before I even ever have to worry about that. But little ways he was trying to prepare me for what was to come, even though I was still immature in my thinking, you know, he's young. He was only in his 50s when he died. So I'm thinking he's young. He has a lot of time left. He's not going to die. I'm young. I'm not ready for this type of responsibility. So I just want you to know, if you're listening right now, this is Life Insurance Awareness Month. But today I just wanted to tell you about my story. My story is that my uncle thought high enough, number one, to even care about me having a future financially. If nothing else, get a life insurance policy so that you can protect the ones you love financially. And number two, get a life insurance policy because it is very tough to lose somebody, but it's even more tough to lose somebody and not have the financial backing to get you through that whole process. One thing I really wish that I would have gotten with that money was counseling. And so if you are just now coming on money, please make sure you get that counseling that you need because it's crucial. Because to tell you the truth, I literally wept over my uncle's death for 8 years. And that's not even an over exaggeration. Like literally for 8 years. Like I cried nightly. When I graduated, every single reminder, every milestone I made, it was like he helped me to get to that point. Even me coming to Dallas, like I still have money to buy that ticket to get me to Dallas. Like it is so, I don't even know where I would have been if he didn't leave me that money. Like, yes, I have parents, but my parents also have kids and they have responsibilities and we're not wealthy. Like we weren't born wealthy. So that life insurance policy literally saved my future. If I can just tell you anything, it is that life insurance is something you definitely need to get. So please consider getting some. And that's all I have for you guys for today. I will talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye.